Welcome to the Movie Vault. I'm Ben.
And I'm Zach.
And we have a lot to talk about today.
Yes. First, I'm on, how do you say it,
Pantoprazole.
For my acid reflux now. Feeling great.
That's good. That's the biggest thing that's happened in the 2 months since the unofficial hiatus that the Movie Vault has taken.
Well, it was in between arcs anyway. We're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, we never said when we started shifting to the arc format that we wouldn't take 2 month breaks in between arcs.
Yeah, but we also didn't say that we would.
Right. Well, it's good to be vague because then you can never disappoint people.
I think we've said that so many times on this podcast. Just every time we mess up, we just plunder it to vagueness.
I think we should stop apologizing. We probably had this discussion too. The thing is, we've had enough podcasts now. This is episode 115 of the Movie Vault.
Is it?
And
we beat 100 already. I forget that.
Yeah, 115 of the Movie Vault. I think we're at a healthy pace for podcasts. I think the way that we operate is we kind of do seasons, but it's not like anything official.
Well, our lives are seasons. We see it that way.
In an ideal world, we would do 52 podcasts a year. We'd never take a week off.
Mm-hmm.
But life is fallen and broken, and so we can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But we do our best, and we do these unofficial seasons. And the beauty of the show is that it morphs and grows, just like our lives morph and grow.
Yeah, like a tadpole blossoming into a beautiful frog.
Like for 100 and however many episodes, we always did episodes at somewhere that wasn't where I lived.
Okay.
Now,
is that true?
Yeah, we did one episode at my parents'
Barbarian.
house. No, we didn't do Well, yeah, we did 2 episodes at my parents'
What was
house.
the other one?
We did one with my brother.
In your backyard.
Yeah.
That wasn't in your residence, though.
That wasn't inside.
It was on your property.
But it wasn't, on my parents' property. I lived there. And now all of a sudden we're doing them at my apartment and the elephant in the room. I just got married. And Zach was the best man in the wedding.
I did forget that.
Yeah.
All I've been focusing on is my acid reflux. So
it's very distracting when you have health
That's
issues
true.
arise.
Well, I
know that more than
I was throwing up to 3 times a day after meals.
That is bad. Yeah.
So I told my primary care physician. By the way, I waited until my annual physical because I didn't want to pay like extra to go in, but I didn't realize that our insurance would have covered it. So I just let myself suffer for a while.
It's good to understand how health insurance. It's good that you have a primary health provider though, because I actually don't have a primary health care provider.
Well, I'm in medical school. Come here.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm waiting for.
I'm just joking.
I'm hoping that the healthcare system I work for, I'll be vague about it, hires
located
in
Ohio.
By the time that I'm off of my parents' insurance and on this unnamed healthcare system's insurance, you'll be a physician at said healthcare system.
You'll be 25 in 3 years, Ben.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work.
I'll be a junior in medical school. Is that how you say it? No, an M3.
M3. Yeah, the official terms.
What are you? I'm a senior.
I'm excited for you to be a medical student because, so also for the listeners, I did become a nurse over the break.
Yeah, you passed the NCLEX. Congratulations.
Passed the NCLEX, officially an RN. So now we're no longer talking about studying for doing it. We're doing it, which that's been a little bit of an adjustment to get used to, like the fact that now I am the role. I'm not the role that I'm studying for. I'm not a student.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen a couple medical students, and I always think you just already, I'm pretty sure, would look a lot more comfortable than some of these students who are up there. But they'll get there.
You're saying me?
Yeah, you would.
Oh, because I have so much patient interaction.
Yeah,
maybe.
You already have a lot of patient interaction. And not even patient interaction, just interaction with people in general.
Old people. I love old people.
Goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And interacting with doctors, because some of it's probably also that if you're intimidated by the doctors, which I get it. Some doctors, I think, probably present themselves as intimidating.
My motto is, if you're not 65 or up, you're out of luck. That's me. So I love the old people.
So there's a lot to look forward to, Zach. You said 3 weeks until medical school starts?
Until orientation, 4 weeks until classes. So
okay, so
white coat on the 9th.
That's getting real. We're now going to have a outside the vault that's officially dedicated to our thoughts on health. No, I'm just kidding.
What is Obamacare and how has it impacted the healthcare system?
Like very serious, well-researched, opinion-based.
We'll just do a case.
Yeah.
Well, a patient would have presented
I'm bringing the nursing side, and Zach goes through the differential diagnosis.
No, what we'll do is we'll do like a skit. and I'll be like, stat, clear. The patient has presented with mild to severe illness.
We're doing code simulations on the podcast.
Code blue.
I did one of those. It was fun.
It's not fun.
It's not fun in real life.
It's not fun. Yeah.
It's a fun simulation.
So I went to my first orientation and we did ultrasound simulations.
Oh, really?
With no experience.
Were you in Prior Hall? At unnamed?
So I used to study at Prior Hall in my undergrad. I would sneak in. I had a medical student let me in. So in Prior Hall, if you go to the third floor, they have some simulation things that I was working with. And one of them, so there's this dummy that's pregnant, right? Not like a real dummy, but like a fake dummy. And you just, you rub that gel on and you do the thing and you just find the baby. And it was super easy, but it's like, why are you making us do this? What is this? What does this do?
Well, look, you can do this. And it's actually not even something that you would probably do because usually they have
my brother's girlfriend is studying to be an ultrasound tech.
Yes, and they usually are the ones who are actually like the doctors reading the ultrasound.
Maybe if there's an emergency on the plane, does someone need a doctor? We need an ultrasound on this plane. I just get out my equipment out of my first aid kit and perform an ultrasound.
Yeah,
find triplets. I don't know. That's been my only experience with medical. But I think you're right. I have had more patient experience, but there are many things I can think that I could grow in, which is actual knowledge.
And that's a good. I mean, I can say the same thing about being a nurse. I feel like I can do some things, and sometimes I'm like, wow, I'm really like I know a lot more than I thought, and then sometimes I'm like, wow, I feel like I know nothing. So it's always a growth, and things are always changing, of course. So you can't ever be comfortable.
Well, it's an adaptable position. You have to adapt.
Yes, exactly. If you're, the nurse who's worked for 25 years and you're expecting things to just stay the same, sorry, but the research is always going to change, and there's going to be something that they're going to do a complete 180 on. They're going to be like, actually, this thing that we've been doing is bad.
Actually, putting leeches on people doesn't help. And
actually, they're coming back around on that. I think I've heard of leeches.
All right, 180, like you said.
Yeah.
Flip, flop, snip, snap, snip, like Michael Scott's vasectomies.
Of course, pretty soon it'll go back to leeches being bad. So.
Or drinking mercury. We can do that, right? Or I don't know what people think about colloidal silver. Is that going to flag us because I said that now? Anyway.
COVID-19.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. It would be an honor to be flagged by Spotify for that, but
at least we're getting some attention.
Yeah, that means somebody's actually listening to our episodes.
Yeah, an AI.
Imagine how many episodes are just like complete like propaganda about something that's just like it's completely made up, but it never gets flagged because nobody listens to it.
Yeah, and eventually we'll all be written by AI anyway. It doesn't matter.
That's
AI
true.
will just read AI.
Pretty soon, you and I will just be able to like kind of have our thoughts be read by AI, and then AI just produces the podcast, like all the interaction between us.
And it will take the best possible neural synapses and place them in cognitive order so that other humans can comprehend.
It'll be way better than what we actually do.
That's what I'm saying. It would take the best of us.
Because the thing about podcasting is you have all these great ideas in your head, and sometimes it's hard to actually execute them in conversation. All right, and it's true about the movies that we talk about,
but then I also typed in AI salmon swimming up river, and it was like cooked salmon swimming up river, like the food.
It's kind of dumb at the same time.
Yeah, so
we need to have Jonathan on. I got dinner with Jonathan, my brother, recently, and he was explaining all these things about AI to me, and I kind of got the feeling that the way that AI is talked about in like mainstream culture is like different than the way that AI actually functions, like from a programming standpoint.
From a programming standpoint, there's a singularity that has to happen, and that singularity is like consciousness, and that is only taken if it gets to like if it reaches a threshold to where it can make its own decisions.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard from someone.
Yeah, that's kind of what Jonathan was saying, and he had his doubts about whether that would actually be the case, whether that could actually happen.
It depends on where you think life starts.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't create life out of a computer program. Right?
No,
you need the breath of life.
And it also depends on even if you have something that's kind of mimicking consciousness.
Yeah,
is that really consciousness?
Yeah,
but it's funny that we're starting to talk about this on a movie that we're reviewing that's decidedly not very technologically savvy, and it's rather old. In fact, it's probably let me do
1961.
1961. So how many years old is it?
65.
No.
Sorry, 45. I was thinking 41.
This is not 45 either. We can't do math.
81, 91. No, it's 65.
Well, it's 2024, so it's got to be at least 63 because it came out in 1961. Yeah, 63. 63 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
I mean, you were closer than me, which I said like basically nothing. I had no guess.
I don't know.
It's completely blanking. So 63-year-old movie. It is directed by Robert Rosen, who is not related to the famous Italian neorealist.
Is it Rosen or Rawson?
Rawson. It's probably Rawson. He's not related to Roberto Rossellini, who is a Italian neorealist, although their names sound similar. But a little bit of background on him that I heard on a podcast I listened to that was, I think, called like That 60s Show. They said that he had some involvement in the Communist Party, and so during the McCarthy era in the 50s, he was like blacklisted from Hollywood, and eventually he like went in and ratted some people out that were in the Communist Party, and they like let him back in. And then he did this movie that the person on this podcast said wasn't very good, but it involved like an early, in this era it would have been revolutionary, but it was like an interracial romance movie, so that attracted a lot of attention. And eventually he was able to get this movie, and once Paul Newman was in the movie, that sparked the funding, and the movie is called The Hustler. And I guessed based on what this guy said, at least, as you can tell, I'm too lazy to do my own research. He kind of hustled the people that that were the producers, because if you actually watch this movie, it's a lot darker than I anticipated, and a lot darker than movies that I think of being from the early 1960s. Late 1960s, I expect like darkness, depression.
Well, that's
depravity.
Where the shift happened, was in the 60s.
Yes,
where the grittiness kind of became, I guess, legal, because they had a lot of
they had a lot of like stipulations that were like. They weren't officially laws.
I like your ring, by the way. I just noticed that.
Yeah, I have this ring that it matches my scrubs.
Oh, that's
and
so
I wear
cute.
it to work.
That's so
and
cute.
It's actually like very comfortable, so I've tended to keep this one on. But not.
Yeah,
that,
sorry,
I like
we're talking
the
about
other
laws
ring, too.
changing.
Yeah,
sorry.
But the codes that Hollywood had taken on so that they weren't censored, that was kind of coming to a close, but they hadn't come to a close yet. But this had a pretty star-studded cast. An earlier Paul Newman performance, it had Jackie Gleason, who is my dad's hero.
No way.
Yeah, my dad is a huge Jackie Gleason fan because he loves The Honeymooners, which is the show that Jackie Gleason was famous for. The Honeymooners was hugely revolutionary and as far as comedy TV. It is literally the Flintstones copied The Honeymooners. Like the Honeymooners in the Flintstones are like exactly the same thing. It's a bus driver and his wife and their kind of neighbors who are upstairs. The very funny Ed Norton, and he's kind of an idiot of sorts, and he schemes to try to get ahead, and he always loses, and then he always has to apologize to his wife and tell her how much he loves her at the end of the show. It's very funny, very wholesome. Definitely would highly recommend. So I was very excited to see him in the movie as Minnesota Fats. And Piper Laurie as Sarah, George C. Scott, who I definitely recognize as Bert, and then Myron McCormick, who I have no background on, as Charlie. And the movie, of course, if I haven't said it already, is The Hustler. And
this is the start of a 5-episode series on Paul Newman.
So we are... While we love the movies, we're really keying in on Paul Newman throughout this series.
And I would kind of like in each episode to kind of focus in on how we see his acting change over the course of 20 years.
Right. So this is kind of the beginning. Not to say that he hadn't been in movies before this, but this is one of his earliest big movies, because this was a commercially successful movie. I think that kind of surprised. I mean, for the time, it had a $2 million budget. Box office was $7.6 million. So, I mean, I think that was a pretty good return for a movie of its kind at that time. It was produced by 20th Century Fox. And it was based on a book by Walter Tevis. I'm sure the book is like not all that good. And it'll be cool because we are bookending the series with The Color of Money, which is the sequel. So Fast Eddie Felson, who we see in this movie, we'll get to see him It's like 25 years later.
Yeah, it's 26 years later. No,
Yeah.
27 because it's 19. Or no, it's 25. You're right. I'm sorry. I corrected you for no reason because it's 1986.
1986. So 25 years later, which is cool. So that's definitely, this was the only movie in the series that this was the first time I had watched it, and so I had no idea what to expect.
The Hustler or The Color of Money?
The Hustler.
Okay.
I've seen all the next four.
You've seen The Sting? I didn't know that.
I've seen The Sting.
Dang. Sorry, Ben. We could have picked another series.
No. I'm excited. I like all these movies.
Okay.
And I'm excited to focus in on them more.
Okay.
So I've talked enough. I've done a very long-winded intro. So Zach, why don't you tell me what your thoughts are on the movie, and then maybe we'll kind of recap the plot.
Let me go against.
Give me your initial thoughts.
Okay. I'm going to give you the vibe, which is not a word that I use commonly. You know, I'm more of an old soul, so I don't use these new age spiritualist terms. But the vibe of the movie was light at first, and then it felt a little bit dark near the end. Now I'm going to sound like a teenage girl when I'm describing this. This is with intention because this is kind of the focus I wanted to have, or at least start out with. The beginning of the movie starts with fun games. He's literally challenging people to pool games, getting to hustle them pretty easily with one or two games, right? He'll lose a game, then he'll win it, right? But as the movie progresses, his hustles become larger and larger. So he'll go meet someone else, do a few games, hustle them, and then later on when he gets to Minnesota Fats, he loses it all after all these games. And they play all night, and he loses it all. Now, that's obviously part of a bigger hustle that happens kind of near the end where he plays there's a lot that happens with him and Sarah in the movie, and then eventually he goes back to Minnesota Fats, and you realize that he might have been hustling Minnesota Fats this entire time. And he had been planning this the entire time as well. So as each of the hustles gets grander and grander throughout the film, the darker it kind of gets because it shows the more that he is putting his soul on the line for just being the best. He doesn't care about the money. He cares about being the best. And it's almost a Whiplashian type of movie where it's, or Black Swan, like you say. I haven't seen Black Swan still. But he is so obsessed with being the best, and his ego is so fragile. It shows that throughout the movie where someone insults him and he'll get upset. His ego is so fragile that he puts his entire soul on the line. His relationship with Sarah, his money, his livelihood, even his day-to-day life as he's devoting all of his time to this. Just to beat Minnesota Fats at his own game, and not even in a nice way. Like, he could have beat Minnesota Fats, and he did when they first met. Like, he beat Minnesota Fats, but he just kept playing and playing and playing, right? Because he wanted to beat Minnesota Fats in like a grander scale by hustling him. And you see that at the end of the movie. And at what cost? The cost of Sarah's life, the cost of all of his friends, the cost of what's the guy's name that wanted his money?
Well, we'll get to that, but he had two different managers in the movie, which is an interesting dynamic because at the start of the movie he has Charlie, mm-hmm. who's his friend, mm-hmm. and then we have sort of the character that I would say is almost a representative of Satan.
Bert.
Like, he represents Satan mm-hmm. in the movie, and that's Bert.
Yeah, because
Bert is really the antagonist by the end of the movie.
Yeah,
because in the grand scheme of things, we have Fast Eddie, his goal is to be the best mm-hmm. and hustle people while he's doing it, make money while he's doing it, because that's the only way you can make money at pool. Mm-hmm. And nobody will play you if they don't think they can beat you. Yeah, so that's the dynamic of pool. You almost can't be good and you can't be good and make money mm-hmm. unless you hustle.
Exactly.
So that's the law of the game that you play. But you have to have somebody who's kind of financing you if you aren't just like a rich guy who's really into playing pool.
Yeah. But that's the interesting thing that I was trying to point out is maybe I didn't express it well. It really, like, the only way to get money while playing pool is hustling. So, and Fast Eddie is a really, really good hustler, and that's exemplified throughout the whole film. And yet he doesn't really care about the money at the end of the day. And I would say at the end of the movie he gets all the money, right? Bert wants half the money or 75% or whatever. But Fast Eddie, although he cares about the money, the reason he did it was not for the money, is what my theory is. So it's like, why would he do this grand scheme of hustling if it wasn't for the money, unless it was just for his fragile ego? So yeah, I would say the more that he puts on the line, the more of himself that he gives up and sacrifices for the sake of his idea of who he is and this ego of his, the darker it gets, and
Yeah.
the more bad it becomes for the people in his life.
He does have a fragile ego, which is why he's so easily manipulated by Bert.
Yeah.
So Bert is somebody who comes in. We find out at the end of the movie when he tells Fast Eddie, okay, you can have the cut. If you don't give me the money, that's fine. Yeah, because Eddie had inferred that Sarah's death was their fault, and I think that got to Bert, even though seems like a very heartless individual. It got to him a little bit, so he was like, I'll let you off the hook, but you can't come to any big pool hall, which makes me think that Bert exerts control at a lot of the major pool halls. So this is a guy who knows how he got his money in the first place, but he's devoted his life to kind of like finding these people that are they're almost so lost that the only purpose they can find is playing pool, which is, pool was not invented to be this. Wow, Ben,
all the pool players, the billiards people out there just got really upset.
Yeah, but
that's the only purpose he could find.
The only purpose he could find was playing pool. And he has an alternative in the movie, and that alternative is go live a life with Sarah, who has her own slew of problems.
And she presented that as such a great option in the center of the film. And obviously he rejects it.
Yeah. So he has two options, and he still decides to make his deal with the devil, which is the devil being Bert. And then it turns out tragically, and it hurts people and kills people ultimately. Yeah. As Sarah commits suicide.
Another flag.
Yeah. As a result, and she was already in a very alcoholic, terrible relationship with her father, where he was basically giving her money so he didn't have to see her.
Yeah.
And which is crazy. And she was like, quote unquote, going to college, but she's living very aimlessly. So you got these two aimless individuals that are coming together. So it's like the breeding ground for a toxic relationship.
Oh yeah.
That's based in things that aren't love.
And you can even see that at the start of when they meet, because both of them go to that place just to look for someone.
Yeah.
Although she was there, she wasn't really there to like go on a train or whatever it was. Was it a train station or a bus station?
Yeah, they were at a bar in a bus station.
They were both looking for someone, right? She didn't look like she was looking for someone because she kind of rejects him at first, but she really was, because she didn't have anywhere to go. She was just there, she reveals. And he was just there to kind of coerce a girl into letting him stay because he didn't have anywhere else to go. So it's like even the start of the relationship is with selfish motives. So this girl, Sarah, falls in love with him eventually and wants him to start a new life with her. But it was never about that for Eddie. For Eddie, it was always just, you are going to be my companion for the moment to get me through so that my ego can be fulfilled through this hustling process. Yeah. So it's a self-destructive movie. It's a very
really
much self-destructive movie.
And I remember when I watched it, I had a similar reaction where I was like, it was a fun movie to watch because Jackie Gleason, very good pool player. All of the shots of him, he was shooting pool himself. Like it was Jackie Gleason playing.
I mean, I know they can't really CGI any of that, but I didn't know if those weren't cool shots or not.
He grew up. I mean, they weren't trick shots or anything like that.
I just don't know what's like good in pool. I've never played.
But it's Jackie Gleason he's shooting pool. He's legitimately good. And I even heard a story on one of these podcasts I listened to. I think it was the same one that 60 showed that Jackie Gleason hustled Paul Newman for real. Like where he let Paul Newman win 2 games and he was like, oh, come on, you're embarrassing me. This is embarrassing for me. I'm supposed to be this good pool player. Just let's play one more game. And it was for money. It was like for $100 or something. And Newman's like, oh, you can't be hustling me, right? And then Jackie Gleason just blows him away. So it's fun to have that background knowledge that, okay, the Minnesota Fats character is like the guy playing him is actually good at pool. So it starts out this fun, like,
you'd think that,
and
Paul
if you
would
watch
know
Color
that.
of Money, later, I won't spoil anything, but it does make pool look like very cool and desirable compared to what you would think.
Even better than this.
Yeah, even better than this. I would say
that's a Scorsese
because it's
film.
Scorsese. I think he adds a little bit more cinematography prowess to the actual.
Probably better
filming.
camera angles than just a far shot. Because we didn't really get to see any close shots.
No, and to be honest, this movie isn't really. It doesn't have a lot of pool playing.
It's not like these movies coming out now like Challengers or these other films that are like really getting into the sport and like making camera angles for the specific sport. You know.
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean.
That. Yeah,
like they're making films about like. I don't know. They're making films about specific sports and like getting really creative with the way that they do the film. Just like centered, like the camera angles and the cinematography and everything. I don't know. Like they do shots like from the top of the arenas now, and then they do the shots like from like in Challengers. Did you watch that?
No, I haven't seen
That's the one that comes to mind, where it's like the camera's on the tennis ball. And it's just getting bounced, and it like hurts your head, but it's such a cool shot. Then there are other ones where the camera's on the tennis racket, and it's like just going back and forth, and the shots are pretty cool. And then like some of the shots are like from like their eyebrows. It's just weird. But this is not that. This is really
we
about
are not getting shots of the pool balls going into.
This is about talking. This is about drama.
Yeah,
and it's really about the character of Paul Newman making unwise decisions.
So really, when Sarah commits suicide is the moment in the film where it just takes a giant downward spiral turn, and you realize, oh, this movie is not sort of this fun Hollywood movie that's going to be like, this guy's down on his luck, he's a loser, and he's going to figure out how to become a winner, and then he's going to win. Even though he wins the game in the end against Minnesota Fats, but he arguably doesn't really win at all.
Yeah.
And I think you can see it. Minnesota Fats like respects him that he has a good pool game, but I think you can see in their interactions like he does feel sorry for Fast Eddie. Like, it's almost like he's playing. He takes him seriously because he respects that he's good at pool, and that's why he'll play him. But you get the feeling that like a Minnesota Fats has been around big time pool longer and understands how it works, and so he's less likely to get manipulated by someone like Bert. Who knows what else he has, or maybe he already has in his past and he's kind of like gotten out of it. But there's a very particular set of circumstances going on in Fast Eddie's life that are causing him to just be even more. I mean, this like it was like a 75%, 25% contract. Horrible contract. If Fast Eddie truly is like the best pool player that people have seen, that is like a terrible contract. Like not 50-50. Now you got to understand he also has no money, so he has no stakes, so he doesn't really have a lot of leverage. But
and to be fair, like he went from zero to hero real fast. So a contract like that, getting started out while he's zero, I mean, it makes some sense. But you're right, Bert is kind of the devil in this movie, and Minnesota Fats plays as if he doesn't need to be the best, but he's the most stable pool player out there. Like he's lasted the longest, and he plays the game, but he doesn't hustle. He's not really a hustler. People
want to play against him, and that drives the money.
He found a new niche in the pool. He found a way to get through it without hustling.
That's I never thought that I would think this in depth into like pool hall tactics and stuff, but it's true. It reminds me, there was a Ringer podcast I was listening to recently. I think it was on The Big Picture, and one of the guest hosts, Van, was talking about how he really got into pool like when he was like 20.
I listened to that one too. Was that the 2003 movie draft?
I think it was.
Yeah, I listened
to that. And it was
that.
like this like 5-10 minute tangent.
They mentioned the hustler.
Yeah. And where he just became, it was so funny. But it is, you can see how the game can become addictive. But I would doubt that these days there's so many other things to gamble on. But it's so underground. Like I've heard some of the criticisms that I heard from people when I was listening to these podcasts and reviews about the movie was that they could have leaned into the seediness of pool halls. It's like kind of it's kind of like dirty money, because anything that's involved with gambling. Although now they're trying to create like a cleaner image of gambling with sports betting.
DraftKings and MGM, those are evil companies.
Yeah, things that are legal, and they're still very predatory because of the way that they market and stuff. And you can get into the details of that, but these are like really like, if you aren't in the world, you don't know about it. But there's a lot of money being like cycled around in these communities. It's like rich people having, we're going to gamble in my, basement, my nice basement pool hall table. It's like, it's kind of one of those things that you wouldn't know it's happening, but it is happening. It's just going under the radar. but it doesn't mean it's not part of the economy. Yeah, I mean, with sports betting now, it's like they get people hooked, people who probably don't have a lot of money, generally speaking. Sports fans, very emotional. They have this very emotional tie to their team, to players, and it's just another way you can be like, oh, you can have a 9-leg parlay, and you could bet $20, but all 9 legs have to happen, so 8 of them could happen. And one doesn't happen, and then you lose $20. And you might not think $20 is a big deal until it's time to pay your electricity bill, and you realize, wow, I spent a lot of money on $20 parlays over the last 6 weeks.
People put their livelihoods on it, and then just lose all hope for financial stability after that. And it's just people's lives get ruined.
I was listening to, or I saw a clip from a Theo Von episode. He's been doing these episodes where he interviews people who are just like do random jobs. And one of them, he interviewed a carny who the games.
I know a former carny.
He's explaining how the games are rigged, but he was I mean, who knows whether he's telling tall tales, but he was saying that he had people come up and literally put their like card like titles on the line to win like a game, like just a throw a softball in the bucket type of game. And that's not even supposed to be gambling, even though they are hustling you at those things.
Oh my gosh.
But it's like, they'll just be like, sure, we'll let you do that. And you're like, how could somebody just like let somebody ruin their life like that? Because they if you look at it objectively, you know that the person running the game has all the power.
I mean, kind of whose fault is it?
That's a great question.
Both of their fault.
It's both of their faults.
They're both compliant to a horrible life decision.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to think like the ultimate fault is on the person putting their car title on
It
the
is
line.
the ultimate fault. Now you could say there is some, I mean, the fact
accomplice.
It does make you think about his name is slipped my tongue now. Oh, the Burt Gordons of the world. Because there's the prey who think they can get rich quick.
Yeah.
Who are the schemers. And then there's the people who realize the actual way to get rich quick is to identify the schemers and make money off of them.
Yes. Think like one layer ahead.
Think about multi-level marketing.
Pyramid
schemes. Who's making the money in those things? As the people at the very top.
It reminds me of Michael Scott saying, no, it's not a pyramid scheme. He's like, I'd sell it to you and you start getting other people. And then Jim just goes up and puts a triangle around it. Such a great show.
Yeah. So you can think about so many things. And this is all related to money. There are a bit of sexual politics and things and other ways that power dynamics happen in the world, and even in the interactions between Bert and Sarah, where he's like identifying her as somebody who's getting in the way of him making money.
Yeah.
And he knows it, and he knows she's vulnerable. It's literally the same thing, but there's no way for him to make money off of her, so he doesn't care whether she lives or dies or how she perceives him.
Yeah, I mean, in the economy of money, the only thing that is of value is money, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to be the most efficient money maker, then you have to put money above other things, and that includes other people. So in this case, Bert, in his economy, the choices that he made in his head, the opportunity costs that he makes, he said that more money from Fast Eddie is a better thing than this woman's life in his life. So that's everybody's choices. I mean, if you think about it, money is just an extension of our own head economies, if that makes sense. So money is just a reflection of our innate ability to make decisions, and wrong decisions especially. And it's just a more powerful medium of choices, if that makes sense. Like, it's like money really is an extension of our hands. It's an extension of the things that we do and the choices and values that we have in life. So I really don't detach the person from the money that they spend. Like, if someone's going out there and buying Pokemon cards every day, then I'm like, okay, well then that's what you value the most. That's what, that's a part of you now, because that's the choices that you make. But if someone's going out and giving their money to someone who needs it every day, it doesn't have to be every day. It's a weird way to say it. Then it's like, okay, well then that's your values. So in this case, I don't know why I had to make that point, but in this case, Bert's opportunity cost was that, Fast Eddie's time was very valuable. And it really was, because he beat Minnesota Fats out of all this money. And it was way more money than he ever made it previously in the movie, because you can see the hustles are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But again, the more that the bigger the hustle gets, the more that Fast Eddie invests his life and puts his life on the line, like that down payment, the darker it gets and the worse it is for him. So those were 2 points that I mixed into one. One is that the darker, you can't put yourself on the line for these things. You can't sell your soul to the devil who is Bert, which is a great analogy to say, Ben. The other thing is like the choices that you make are reflected in the money that you spend. So
yeah, there is a lot to be learned from this movie, and there's also a lot to be learned on valuing your possessions and the things that you did buy with your money and protecting them.
Like, don't put your car title on the line.
Yeah, because if you do invest money in something and you think it's important or you need it, it's a necessity. You don't want something to happen to it and then be out. Obviously prepare financially the best you can, but it's not easy to make money in this world, and it's not even ethical always. Mm-hmm. Every single avenue that there is to make money isn't always ethical or even the best use of your time. So you have to, find a career, find a way to make a stable income that's reasonable, allows you time for your family, and for other things that are important in your life. And then you have to make purchases. Like if you live in the U.S., you'll probably have to purchase a car, because you're probably not going to have public transit unless you live in a select few cities that have good public transit. And so it's going to be a rather hefty investment, especially with the way the used car market is these days. It used to be, you could just be like, oh, can't afford a new car, guess I'll just buy a used one. It won't be that expensive. Those days are gone. The cheap used cars, that means it's probably going to last like 6 months, because that's the only reason it's cheap. Yeah. So,
wait, this is an intro to the ad, right?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's just I just am very passionate. No, it is.
I was about to say it's a long intro.
And I also want to say we have now had 2 leads created officially directly from the podcast.
Oh, really?
A lead turned into another lead. So slowly, listeners are listening to our call, and they're calling.
Do we know them?
We do know them.
Oh, cool. The other one worked out, right?
Yes, and I think this one will too.
Cool.
So this is Hedman Anglin Agency. They have been a loyal supporter of our show for almost the entire time that we've been.
Now they're family.
Yeah, now they're family. This is another announcement. Jonathan Anglin, I married his daughter, Emma Anglin, and she's now Emma Stanhope. Yeah. We've been dating the entirety of when the show has existed.
You guys started dating like shortly before that? Or a year before that?
Yeah, it was like 7 or 8 months before that, I think.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're sure?
Yeah, because that was when we were entering college, so we started dating in like December of my senior year.
Of 2020? Or 2019?
2019, yeah.
So then we started
August of 2020.
Okay.
So yeah, it'd been like 7 months.
Okay.
So yeah, now we're married. Now at Hedman Anglin Agency is family. And they insure me. I actually recently just started up officially my parents had already been insured through them, but I have my own insurance through Hedman Anglin Agency. They set us up with the best deal we could get, which it's tough world out there when you're 22 and a male. They don't trust you at all. I don't know why. But
what do you mean?
Well, there's less companies that are like excited about insuring a 22-year-old male because of statistics.
Interesting.
About how their driving habits.
How long have women been able to drive?
I think they've been able to drive since cars have existed.
Okay.
I don't think there was like
Are you sure?
Prohibition against women driving.
Are you sure?
Because you probably didn't even have driver's license for the first,
But are you sure?
I'm not 100% sure, but
okay. Well, come back to me when you're positive. I'm just wondering if
on the next episode I'll do some research and see whether
I'm just curious, like if that's the reason that they're like, well, women can drive now. So,
well, yeah, I don't know. You'll have to, if you have a question about that, ask Jonathan. He's very knowledgeable on why rates are higher for some people and lower for other people. It's usually just related to statistics.
Like more males drive?
Like no, more men who are younger.
They're younger crash.
I
see what you mean.
So insurance companies.
That's true. Someone just crashed my car yesterday.
Yeah.
But that's all right.
Think about
very forgiven. Very much forgiven by me.
Yes. So, Because it's sometimes frontal lobe doesn't fully develop till you're 25, so
Well,
that can affect.
You can't like. That's not our fault.
Yeah, but insurance companies don't care. It's all about money. Okay?
I guess
it's all about money.
That's crazy.
So,
but neither are the
that's
female.
Another thing I would tell you before we get. This is probably the worst ad read that you'll ever hear. But big companies, these big insurance companies, don't care about you. You need to have an insurance agent who's looking out for you, who actually has, he doesn't have, that has enough time to be able to go through the information with you. And not be tied down to one insurance company. That's the beauty of it. He can shop you, get the best deal, and he's not like, he doesn't work directly for any of the big insurance companies. So he doesn't, he can get commission from all of them, but he's not tied down to one. He's not trying to make a hard sell on one insurance company. So I just think it's the best option.
And you're a little biased because that's your father-in-law.
Well, yes.
But I would say, here's what I would say, because I'm not biased at all. I don't know. I don't even know the guy. And I would say, if you have liked Phase 4 of Marvel, then you should go somewhere else. Because Phase 4 of Marvel is quality or quantity over quality, right?
Yes.
They have so many movies that they came out with, and they all pretty much sucked except for Shang-Chi and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, in my opinion. And some of the shows, maybe just Loki, and maybe WandaVision as well, and Loki Season 2. Anyway, but before Marvel was quality over quantity to some degree. But Hedman England Agency is just a supreme degree of quality over quantity, to where every single client they have is like family. In fact, they all have Thanksgiving together.
It's very true. And at a rehearsal dinner, tons of clients, very satisfied.
Mm-hmm. In fact, we didn't even talk about the wedding. We just talked about how great our insurance was.
I think there's all kinds of like random things that if you have like a big piece of property and you get like ATVs, different things like that, they can insure those. There's things that...
Is that new?
No, they've always had that.
Wow.
They can shop lots of different insurances. Like if I need, which the healthcare system I work for, I don't need to get malpractice insurance because of how it's set up. But if I did, they could probably shop that for me. So, like if I was going out doing something on my own.
You don't need it at the place where you work?
No.
Why?
Because they can't sue me. They can only sue the hospital because because of how that's getting into the fine details.
Interesting.
But there's
I have to get someone for you.
I don't know if that works for doctors, but
I know that
for nurses, that's how
I have protections through this association that I'm in right now for certain moral issues. So.
Oh, that might be interesting to look into.
Yeah.
On my end, but at any rate, the phone number that you're going to want to call is 614-486-7300. That's 614-486-7300. Seriously, if you have any questions, reach out to me personally, and I'll answer the questions I can, and then I'll direct you straight to Jonathan very quickly because I probably won't be able to answer a lot of them. But if you felt like we were very sporadic and all over the place and you want a more condensed version, you can give us a call.
Or listen to another episode. We've had some good ads.
That's true. We have had some good ads.
In fact, listen to all of our episodes.
Yeah, just go do that right now. This might go down in history as the longest advertisement for Hedman England Agency on the podcast. So that's
Can
exciting.
I say they created a good woman who you married. Right, Emma? Oh, she didn't hear me.
I don't know that she heard that. So, this movie was nominated for lots of Oscars.
Yes.
And it won Best Art Direction, Black and White. They used to have a black and white category for the Oscars when they had color and black and white movies.
It's interesting that they split it up, especially 1961. Not too like, it was like fresh, right? The colors.
Yeah. So they had movies. Some people were artistically, they were like, I'm still doing black and white. Like, I think it fit really well with this movie.
I mean, Eraserhead's awesome.
Yeah.
Even though that's what, 70?
And The Lighthouse, which we'll go in.
Haven't seen that.
That's good. And it's in black and white.
I love Robert Pattinson. He's awesome.
And Robert Eggers.
Mm-hmm. And Robert Bresson.
And it also won Best Cinematography, black and white.
Yes.
For Eugene Schufflin.
So they had black and white categories for each of them?
No, just maybe for these few categories.
I get it. Like cinematography, color changed cinematography forever. Like,
I guess art direction and cinematography, that makes sense because those would be very impacted by the coloring.
Yeah, and I mean, now you see black and white films that are coming out. Like you would mention The Lighthouse, even Eraserhead, where it's just an artistic choice to the point where like the cinematography is somewhat better in the black and white, because you can get like just different hues on one single scale, and it kind of makes the black more potent, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or the darkness more potent, depending on what the noir of the film is.
Yeah.
It only fits a certain style of film, though, I'd say.
Yeah, you can't just make everything black and white.
Yeah, like you couldn't do a Teletubby movie in black and white.
And if you have a really good reason to go black and white, then you can do it. Now, Robert, how are we pronouncing his name? Russin. Robert Russin. He got nominated for Best Motion Picture, Best Director, did not win. Paul Newman got nominated for Best Actor, did not win. Piper Laurie, Best Actress, did not win. Jackie Gleason did not win Best Supporting Actor, and then George C. Scott refused his nomination. And the story behind this, from what I was told on this episode, go listen to, I think it was That 60s Show. It was great. It was one guy, I think he just makes episodes about things that happened in the 60s, and he claimed this was the best movie of 1961. So I think that's why he was doing this.
How do you do a single person podcast?
You just have a script and you just keep talking, and you're very like point based. Okay. It's not conversation. Like, we're doing a conversational show, which is why we can kind of jump all over the place. But if you're doing a single person show, unless you're somehow having a conversation with yourself,
like Tim Dillon.
Yeah, you can do that where you're ranting, or you can do, and you sometimes maybe have like one guy who like
looks up something, like a Jamie.
Yeah, and that you can kind of do conversation with, like, if you need it, but you don't have to. But that's the way to do. Or sometimes they do very script based, where it's like almost dramatic readings of things that have happened.
Like, did you ever listen to Haunted Cosmos?
No.
Okay, that's kind of like.
And like Rise and Fall of Mars Hill.
Yeah, that's
it's
a big
like
one.
super dramatic, like
little
expose.
Over the top.
Yeah, it can be a little over the top. So yeah, lots of nominations, not too many wins, but nonetheless, like,
it swept. I mean, I think it swept. It won 2 of 8 nominations.
Yeah.
I mean, that for that year, did any other film sweep more than that?
I won an Academy Award.
Just because, I mean, what's it? 2 years ago, when Everything Everywhere All at Once swept, it was like 6 out of 8 nominations that they won. I'm just wondering, what was the extent of the sweeping?
Would it have been the 1961 or 1962 Academy Awards?
I mean, it would be 1, right?
Oh yeah, it's 1961. West Side Story won Best Picture.
Did they win all the other things?
Let's see. West Side Story won 2. Best Foreign Language Film was Through Glass Darkly, which is Ingmar Bergman. West Side Story won a decent amount, it looks like. Yeah.
So 4, 5,
6, 7,
8. There's
they were the dominant film.
Okay, so West Side Story definitely swept. So The Hustler did get close second with two wins.
2 wins specifically in the black and white categories, which helps that they got those.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess by the availability of that niche, it probably gained some traction.
I've never watched West Side Story, so I have no idea whether it's good or not. But overall, I'd say this movie, when we get to the Color of Money episode, I'll really be able to analyze which one I think is better.
Okay.
But
what'd you rate this?
I give it 4 stars.
4 stars? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm giving it, I haven't rated it yet because I was going to wait for our review. I think I'm going to give it 3.5.
3.5. Mm-hmm. That's fair too. I was impressed by, for the era, and maybe it's my perception of the era. Like, maybe I'm sure I haven't watched that many films from 1961. Yeah. That it seemed like it had a layer or 2 more themes than I typically see from that era.
Well, how would you describe?
But then it's also just depends on the quality of filmmaking, because when we go through my 24 movies that I've watched in the last month, there's some that are from like the 50s that I thought were also pretty thematically deep in comparison to maybe some of the other movies from the era.
Yeah, this wasn't super deep. How would you describe if I were to say I respect this movie? Like, how would you describe that? Like, what would make you respect a movie?
Like, what would make me respect? Like, what?
Like,
what
if it were anthropomorphic.
Like,
just go along then.
Like,
just to answer my question.
Like, it's like a pig.
No, like this movie. Like, what would make you respect this movie?
I do respect it.
Okay. Why?
I respect it because I think that it is has more than one layer. It has good characters. It feels like something that could actually happen to some degree. It may be like a very dramatized version of something that could actually happen.
Okay.
So I feel like there's some realism in it.
Yeah.
And it swings for a not happy ending.
Okay.
Which is what I'm thrilled about with the movie.
Yeah, you love
because I think a lot's again, I keep comparing it to movies in its era. Nowadays, we might need more movies that have happy endings because we have so many movies that don't.
It's too cynical.
It's too cynical. But this was like, for its time, I think it probably inspired a lot of movies. And for being like a sports adjacent movie, you know how sports movies do the thing where it's like, oh, we're really going, like things are going bad. And then it's all of a sudden it shoots back up.
Yeah.
And then it ends with the like really cathartic moment where they like pull the upset or like win the championship. Like this doesn't have that.
Oh yeah.
I agree. Has the win, but the win feels like it doesn't
The win
matter.
feels like a loss.
Yeah.
I respect this movie because it's kind of a similar thing, but it's like it doesn't focus on what the movie is about. A lot of times movies get lost in what their movie is about. Like this is a pool movie. When anybody thinks about a pool movie, they think of this movie, right? This is the pool movie besides Color of Money, maybe. But it doesn't get lost in the pool. It's not about the billiards. It's not about the rules. It's not about the technicalities. It's about a man and his self-destructive habits. You could place this man in any situation. He could be a soccer player. He could be a poodle groomer. But at the end of the day, he's self-destructive. And that's why I love this movie, is because it focuses in on that character and the development of the character. And maybe not the development, but rather the regression of the character. And any film that's like that, I love it. Just because it's such a bad example and it's potent and I want to watch it and I want to see him self-destruct and I want to see it get worse, you know?
Yeah.
Not because I'm a sadist.
And we talked about this with Blade Runner, like these movies kind of serve as warnings. And, I had this thought on my run when I was listening to these podcasts. So I haven't even heard all the details, but there's these allegations against Cody Ko. It doesn't really even matter what the allegations are.
I thought okay.
But it got me thinking because I was like, this happens all the time now, especially if you like, I kind of wax and wane on paying attention to things happening in social media, but all the time things come out. Oh, this is allegation. This thing came out that we didn't know about this person, because we live in an age of people who are able to present their life online in a way that they want people to perceive them. And the way that I perceived Cody Ko in the last like 5 years was like, oh, he's like kind of funny. His reaction videos were funny. And he did stuff with his girlfriend, who's now his wife. And it seemed like kind of wholesome. Like it seemed like this is a guy who seems like his life's in order. And he likes to poke fun at things with his friend. And he has his wife, and they like to do stuff together. And it just seemed like, that's a great life. And then stuff comes out where it's like things happened when he was in his early days of YouTube that people didn't know about. And I'm not even saying that I know what happened or even really I care about what happened, but I also am like not personally involved in any of it. So I, to some extent, also don't care because I wasn't really actively watching Cody Ko. I'm not making this like big, like you shouldn't watch him or you should watch him statement.
I was going to ask you if you've watched him.
Well, I have watched him.
Okay.
That's why I have these opinions. I've created this perception of who Cody Ko is. And now it's like he might not be like that. And he's just the figure that I'm thinking of right now. I could go through 1,000 other people.
Yeah, you picked a really weird example.
Who also you could say, oh, I thought they were this one thing and they're actually this other thing. Movies like this show, people are broken, and some people it's more obvious that they're broken, like Eddie. Like he doesn't really have anything else going for him that you can tell. It's just like the raw human at the core that has this kind of addictive personality. He's seeking acceptance. It's all these things that everyone struggles with. Yeah. Like some addictions have more powers than others. Some things that people are drawn to have more consequences. But to some degree, everyone struggles with being too caught up in how people are perceiving them, too caught up in whether this thing will gain me status, like how will people look at me? Yeah. Will people look at me like I'm the best pool player? Will this thing gain me money? It's all these things that are pulling at us, and this movie does a great job of showing it at its core at what that looks like and how that destroys someone's life.
Yeah.
With other people, we have to be like, oh, they had this whole life that they set up and it looked like this and it was actually this, and now we got to peel back all these layers. With Eddie, it's really simple, so you can see it play out and you can just be like, and then you can start extrapolating and be like, oh, I could see how that could happen in my life.
Yeah.
Even if it might look a little bit more complicated and they wouldn't be able to put it in a movie.
Yeah.
Or it wouldn't be as exciting the ways that these things are destroying my life.
Oh, for sure. And it's just, we're so sinful. We have a proclivity for
Exactly.
sin.
It's all goes back to our proclivity to sin.
I love that. I used the word proclivity just now. A
Yeah.
proclivity for ultraviolence. That's how.
Ultraviolence.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, that was the long way. The Cody Co analogy is how I started thinking.
Yeah,
about
sorry,
this
you
movie.
didn't get me with the Cody Co. I don't really watch. I never watched him. If you said Danny Duncan, like Virginia Rocks, like then I'm on board. No, I don't even know who he is. But
It was just because it's fresh. That's the only reason.
yeah,
I don't really, like I said, I don't really have any opinion.
I don't believe allegations. I'm sorry, like I really don't.
And I also,
Who's alleging?
I mean, you can go into it. You can watch all the stuff. It's another YouTuber who's alleging.
I just
stuff,
can't.
so
Like,
it's
who
not
is that guy, Shane Dawson, that would make like all these videos about Jeffree Star and like every. Anyway.
Yeah, there's all. I mean, it happens every day.
It's
what life is like now that you can put stuff out on the internet, and then
and how disgusting is it? Like, to be a famous person, and like, just trying to make a buck off of putting someone else down, even if they deserve it. Like, if that's your life, you need to start reconsidering things.
Yeah.
Think about your children. Think about the people you've hurt. Think about the impact that you're actually making on the world. Like, who's gonna remember a guy that's like, did you know that James Charles did this? Like that's like someone's life.
Yeah, and most of the situations, it's just like, let it play out. If you feel like you shouldn't watch this person,
You're not the judge.
Don't do it then. You don't have to watch them. That's the beauty of the internet. There's a billion other things you can watch. There's actually way too many things that you can watch.
Yeah. We don't need couch potato vigilantes. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like, we've had enough of internet heroes.
Yeah.
They don't work out. It's like Miranda
If
sings.
somebody, you hope justice plays out. In these movies, you find out justice doesn't always. The Berts of the world, they keep going.
Yeah.
They do something.
We have a real Bert, the devil.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
So even if you get this one person, there's going to be you've only squashed one. There's 1,000 other of them to come. So maybe
Life is D&D.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Like, never mind. That's a stupid analogy.
Yeah, this is kind of this tangent has spiraled, but anyway, that's my feelings on The Color of Money. Now I'm excited to go through the movies that I've watched.
This movie was awesome, though. 3.5 stars doesn't mean that it was bad.
Yeah,
it has a good style.
Yeah,
It's like our friend Chris Lee.
yeah,
I don't care because that's such a common name. We can say his name and nobody will find him.
yeah,
But Chris Lee has like such a good style. He'll like walk
That's
into
true.
a room and like it'll just smell like cologne. Like it'll smell like Ralph Lauren. And
yeah. She's very put together.
this movie is like that in the movie world. And I feel like, and my analogy of like the forest when our movie Pathways,
Yeah,
I feel like we hit a spring in the desert.
nice.
Like
Yeah.
but it's not like a big spring. It's like the rock that God gave the Israelites that was like shooting up water.
Yeah,
It's like that, and I'm
you
just
should be
drinking the
thankful
water.
for it.
Yeah,
You shouldn't take it for granted.
yeah.
But it's also like not the forever.
It's not palace
thing.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the New Jerusalem, but it tastes so good,
Yeah,
especially
I
when
agree.
I'm quenched.
I agree. So, without further ado,
Our
we're gonna
movie
do
highlights.
highlights.
Oh my gosh.
I'll try to speed through this because there's like a lot, and I could get on a lot of tangents.
Okay.
So, I watched Oh Brother Where Art Thou for the first time. That's really good. And I watched Royal Tenenbaums for the first
Finally.
time. Oh my goodness, Royal Tenenbaums is
So
a great
good.
movie. And then I had someone tell me that they were like, "Yeah, my father was like Royal Tenenbaum." I was like, "I feel sorry for you." And then we have 500 Days of Summer.
Did you watch that?
great.
Did you watch that with Emma?
I did.
Yeah,
I
I'm
watched
assuming,
500
yeah.
Days of Summer. I love the Smiths, so it was good. And if you had a father who was like Royal Tenenbaum, I'm glad that there's a movie for you where you can kind of parse those things out. And I think Wes Anderson might have had a father because I also watched The Darjeeling Limited.
Oh,
and
so
I
you're on a Wes
started-
Anderson spree.
I started to sense a trend in Wes Anderson movies where he maybe didn't have the best relationship with his father.
Well, no, of
Or-
course,
or
Fantastic
his
Mr. Fox.
Or his entire family. He might not even have a good relationship with his mother.
No, if you think about any of his movies, all of the relationships are dysfunctional and
Yeah, they're
robotic.
like super dysfunctional. Loved The Darjeeling Limited. Then I watched My Cousin Vinny. It's very cartoonish. Joe Pesci, Brooklyn lawyer, going down to Alabama to help his like cousin. He like took 14 times to pass the bar exam. It's his first big case. They're accusing these guys of murder. It's cartoonish. It's kind of over the top, but it's got a great last 30 minutes.
Okay. I'm gonna add that one.
So I will say it drags a little bit, but it's got the end is good. Then Tombstone, pretty good Western movie. Don't have a lot to say about it. I watched Vertigo.
Yes.
Vertigo, excellent movie.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Love
so good.
Yeah, it's.
Did you get did the ending surprise you?
Yeah,
my goodness.
Yeah, the setup and that. Yeah,
So
it surprised me. It wasn't.
It was my top 4 for a year.
Yeah, Stagecoach, classic John Wayne, John Ford movie. Very good. I liked it. The Italian Job. This is Michael Caine. I don't think I feel like my rating, I don't think I gave it 4 stars. 4 stars, 3.5, whatever. It's Michael Caine in a sort of James Bond-esque movie. Amazing car chase sequence at the end of the movie. It's worth the watch just for that. And then a kind of weird movie I watched was Alphaville. It's a Jean-Luc Godard sci-fi movie. It kind of went over my head.
Is Jean-Luc Godard fifth out? No, that's Bresson. Bresson, right?
Bresson. Jean-Luc Godard he was one of the early French New Wave guys.
He was in the French New Wave with Bresson.
He did Breathless, which is one of my...
Yes, okay. That's why I thought of Bresson.
Yeah. Breathless is one of my favorite movies of all time. Godard did a lot of movies. Alphaville looked interesting, and it is interesting, but I wouldn't say it's his most... probably isn't his most compelling movie. It's 65.
Okay.
It's sci-fi, but again, I think that it being in French and the sci-fi concept, it makes it I feel like it would take a couple watches to really figure out what he was going for.
Okay.
So I won't even say it's a bad movie. It's just I didn't completely get it. The Lighthouse I thought was very well done.
Okay.
Descent into Madness kind of movie. Watched it with a couple buddies at Caleb and Dylan.
Oh, you did?
And
nice.
Dylan especially has a huge passion for The Lighthouse.
Interesting.
And I thought that it was a very good movie. Thomas Crown Affair, Steve McQueen movie. It started out better with a really cool scene, and then it kind of dragged, and I didn't think it was really that good by the end. Then a amazing Italian horror movie.
No way.
Deep Red, which is by this guy named Dario Argento.
Should I watch that tonight?
Yes, I think you should watch this movie. It's one of my favorite horror movies.
Don't tell me.
He also has a movie called Suspiria that's good.
Oh, he did Suspiria.
Yeah. So 1975. It has an amazing soundtrack. That's all I'll say.
Okay, I'm watching that tonight.
Rear Window is a Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Yep.
Really well shot. So that's my
4.5 stars. You had a good 2 days.
Yeah. And then Inside Out 2, not as good as the first one, but I liked it. I still thought it was very good.
Liked that Sadness got more of a role.
Yeah, Sadness had more of a role.
Because it's Phyllis from The Office.
I liked Anxiety. I thought it fit well. I thought that
timely.
It was based on a teenage girl, and there was things that were maybe specifically geared to girls, it was still relatable to all.
I agree. People. I also think Anxiety is such... I think Pixar movies and children's movies don't need to go deep into it, but they need to address it. This needs to be... We need awareness. Everybody's aware of anxiety.
The upper range of what you could really hit in a Pixar movie without getting too adult themed.
You don't want to have depression. You don't want a depression one.
Yeah.
Anxiety is a good umbrella term to use for a lot of problems that because kids are sad these days, and it's a good thing to show ways to cope with anxiety. But I don't know if Inside Out 2 had the best coping mechanisms for it, but because it just put her on a couch and gave her potato chips or something at the end, and it's just that's how you get rid of anxiety. I don't know. So
then I watched Thief, which is a Michael Mann movie. I felt like it was
he did Bad Boys, right? No, Michael Bay.
No,
who's Michael Mann? We did Michael Mann before.
He did Heat.
Did you? Yeah. Did you have Heat on here already?
Yeah, I think I had Heat on here, and I think Thief is more or less the precursor to Heat. Some people really love it. I thought it had cool elements to it, but I wasn't completely sold on it. Evil Dead 2, it's like Evil Dead 1, except for it's even more over the top. So if you like Evil Dead, you'll definitely like Evil Dead 2. In a Lonely Place, Humphrey Bogart movie, kind of just randomly saw it on Amazon Prime, decided to watch it. Yeah. And really good noir. I mean, I I thought it was kind of like this movie where I was not what I was expecting for the era. So maybe I just have bad expectations about movies in certain eras.
Okay.
Then I watched Sicario, the Denis Villeneuve movie.
Yep.
It wasn't my favorite of his, but it has all of the things that are like the moral quandaries, it might even be a little bit more interesting from a moral standpoint because it has a more practical application as opposed to something like Dune, because it's about like the FBI and the CIA and like their tactics. Mm-hmm. So it's like presenting things that like are actual like moral questions that you could think about that are actually happening, as opposed to having to extrapolate what's happening.
I don't know. Dune, you could think of like Trump or Biden. I really think you could think of like these people.
That's true.
They like worship these gods.
Maybe it's just easier to see it directly.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to extrapolate.
We just got flagged again, by the way. But anyway.
Yeah. 12 Angry Men, gave it 5 stars.
Okay.
Best script I've ever seen. Like, it's one of those movies where it's like everyone says it's good and they're absolutely right. Then I watched Despicable Me 4. Minions are funny.
How would you rank it in the Despicable Me franchise?
I would rank it 3rd.
So it would go 1, 2, 4, 3.
1, 2, 4, 3.
Okay. That's what people have been saying. My brother did the same thing.
Then I had an opportunity to go watch a movie by myself, and I saw Kinds of Kindness, the new Yorgos Lanthimos anthology movie.
Is he going to come out with a movie every year?
No, he's not.
Okay. It's like 3 years in a row, right?
Yeah, but before that, it was like 5 years in between his like last.
Since The Lobster in 2015?
Yeah. No, he made this movie called like The Favorite or something in 2018, and then he hadn't made a movie until last year.
Okay. No, I thought he had 3 years in a row. I don't know. Anyway.
And I do have some things to say about this movie. So it's an anthology movie. I was confused because I didn't look up anything about it intentionally because I wanted to be surprised, but I had to pee really bad, and I picked actually a really good moment. I didn't know I was picking a good moment because I went right at the end of the first anthology. So I don't think I really missed anything. But when I came back, I was super confused because what I did miss is they had credits and like a title after every anthology.
Interesting.
So the first one, they don't do that.
Yeah.
So there's no title for the first, or maybe there is actually. I just was like, oh, interesting. So I missed that. So then I was like, wait, why are all these the same characters, but they're like different people? And I thought for a second, I thought it was like one of those things where they like, it's like, what's that movie that Harry Styles was in?
Didn't we review it? Oh man.
That's how bad it's a wonderful, no. Don't Worry, Darling.
Yeah.
Don't Worry, Darling. Where it's like they're in a virtual reality thing. I was like, oh, is it like a dream sequence? No, it's just like they're completely different movies with the same actors. But it's classic Yorgos Lanthimos where it's like stuff that is like very unsettling.
And questioning reality.
Reading the Google reviews are hilarious because it's like all like 40-year-old moms who were going to see it because Emma Stone was in it, and they thought that it was going to be, and it's just like I can just imagine somebody who's never.
Can I read the one you sent me?
Yeah, it's so funny.
Hopefully this doesn't add too much time.
Do you want to just do your movie highlights next episode?
Yeah,
since we have so many.
Yeah, so I only have 6.
Okay, maybe just do yours then.
So this Becky Grill, this is public. It's on Google. So she gave
1.9 stars on Google average.
Yeah, so. She gave it 1 star. This afternoon, my husband and I went to see this movie. After over 30 minutes of movie previews, the movie began. It switched from one circumstance to another without coherence. We didn't realize that the length of the movie was 2 hours and 44 minutes. When the wife cut off her thumb, we got up and left. There were only 7 people in the theater. One couple left, then we left while I waited for my husband. The third couple left and walked by me ranting about how bad the movie was. After they left, there was only 1 man left in the theater. We were surprised and didn't understand why the certain cast were involved in a horrible movie like this. 12 people found this helpful.
It's funny because the movie
you were that 1 man left in the theater, you know.
The movie was actually I was the only person there in the theater. This was a couple weeks after it came out too, so it's not really that surprising because I went in the middle of the day on a weekday.
We don't have a lot of Yorgos Lanthimos fans out there.
Yeah, and the movie is actually there was parts of it that I thought were a little Yorgos Lanthimos I think goes a little overboard with certain things that he probably doesn't need to. That's kind of always been my thing. But with him, but at the same time, he's very good. All these movies did have a they were about power dynamics.
Yeah.
And they were very creative and different, each one, ways that people are like involved in abusive relationships and how it's very difficult to break the cycle of the abuse between the person who's involved in the abuse and how how the cycle kind of goes on. And they were very different, but they were over the top, and they didn't really seem plausible in real life.
Yeah.
And it had this classic Yorgos Lanthimos, like they're people, but they don't really seem like people. They're
a little
very
robotic,
mechanical.
Yeah. I mean, I think of The Lobster.
Yeah, it's like that, but there's a little bit more life to him than The Lobster.
That's an improvement for me.
But not a lot more.
Okay.
It's still like his classic cold style that you have to get used to if you have never seen it before. And it's like directors like to create their own worlds that are like, they look like our world, but they have rules that are different than our world.
I mean, Wes Anderson does the same cold, harsh reality of his dialogue.
Yeah, but they do that to make a point. So my review of Kinds of Kindness is, if you think that the content is like too much for you, it's like too violent, too this or that, then you're probably not going to like it. But if you like that kind of filmmaking and you think that it's interesting engaging with those types of characters, then it's worth your time. I don't think it's my favorite of his. I only gave it 3.5 stars because I do think it's a little long, like maybe a little overindulgent perhaps. But aside from that, I thought it was very interesting, and I don't regret going to watch it. Then I watched On the Waterfront, which is a really good Marlon Brando movie, and then I finished it off with today. I watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, nice. You had your day off today.
Yeah.
Which was nice. Okay, real quick. I'll go very quick. I watched Unsung Hero. This isn't it. What is my review? I said I only watched this for Mother's Day. That was my review. 3 stars. All right. Men in Black, 3.5. I've already seen it. Will Smith wears the darndest outfits was mine because he wore that orange outfit. Challengers. I said I watched Challengers.
You gave it 5 stars?
No.
Oh, man. Why did I think that?
Challengers, I gave 4 stars.
4 stars, okay.
I thought it was excellent. And it really wasn't as inappropriate as people said. There was really one scene that I completely looked away from, but there was no nudity or anything like. As far as I know, there was like a guy's locker room scene. Anyway, that's not the point. So,
we're not really a content review show. Do your own content.
Yeah.
Whatever your standard is, do your own research.
Well, everybody was telling me don't watch it, and then I had one of my friends who I always trust about movies, and he said it really wasn't bad, so I went and saw it. With a bunch of people, not just in a bad. I rewatched Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I'm addicted to that movie. I finally watched Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. It's good, 3.5 stars. Downton Abbey, the movie, the first one. I watched it. It was awesome. The king comes to visit, and they have to prepare for him. That's literally the premise of the movie. Yep. And then I need to watch the second one. It's not on Netflix. I watched Smurfs: The Lost Village. I've been babysitting a lot of kids lately, so. Then I watched the movie Wonder. I read the book. The book was way better. It was all
I have seen Wonder. There's likable parts of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I like Owen Wilson. I finally got around to the Marvels. Watched it. Took a bullet for it. Wasn't like there were some cool parts about it. Like but it was exactly what I expected.
That's kind of what you expect from Marvel movies now. There's it's not like the worst thing you're ever gonna watch. It's just there's not too much overly compelling about it anymore.
Yeah, and then I spent 3 hours watching Boyhood by Richard Linklater. I finally got around to that. It was awesome. It was so cool seeing every 10 minutes he's a year older. It was so cool. Such a cool.
That's crazy. I need to invest the time and watch it.
I've never watched a movie, and I love Ethan Hawke so much.
And so does Richard Linklater. He loves Ethan Hawke.
Mm-hmm. And the boy who the star of this film, L.R. Coltrane, just an incredible actor. And I don't know. It portrays because the movie is about just a boy growing up with a very dysfunctional family, divorced parents, and not having his dad around for the first 10 years of his life, and then 12 years, and then his dad kind of comes back into his life. His mom has a successful career, fails, and it's just going through all these motions, and each year it kind of affects him, and it shows over time how it changes and forms his character and personality, and it's just awesome. I recommend it.
Watched a lot of Richard Linklater movies, but the way that he emphasizes time, it's not like a Christopher Nolan way where you're trying to play with time. It's how does time actually affect us? The Sunrise trilogy is a trilogy that they each film 10 years apart or something. He always has these things that are nobody or Dazed and Confused just being one night.
Well, Dazed and Confused is this is how we can't tell time.
Yeah.
Because we're always high.
Yeah.
Or we just got flagged again.
Yeah. But just the fact that it's one night. There's always something unique. I think he made a movie this year. The Bike Ride. Was that his? I don't know. I know I can't keep up with all the new movies. I don't have enough money. But maybe at some point, if people want to start sending us screeners, we will watch new movies.
Yeah, or send us money. You know, we'll just use it on groceries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I got. How long is our episode?
This is going to be a longer one for sure. Hour and 15.
Not bad.
But it's the first one back.
Yeah, not
We'll
bad.
be back to being efficient.
And the next movie we are doing...
I believe is it Cool Hand Luke?
No.
Dang it.
It is...
I messed it up.
Why does it mess it up?
Well, because now it spoiled the announcement.
Oh, well, Cool Hand Luke is coming, I guess. It is Cool Hand Luke. My bad. I switched that with the other one. I just have it in my list wrong. But Cool Hand Luke came in sequence first, so it's 1967. It's 6 years later. So we'll see if his acting has improved.
Yep. All right. So join us for Cool Hand Luke next. This has been Ben.
And Ben Zach.
And the Movie Vault. This has been The Vault, and it's closing.